Let's just agree that this is it. Portland, Maine, I don't know where that is. Leave your bags in the car, keep it running. I won't pretend that I want these things. But Portland, Maine, I don't know where that is. And I don't wanna know. I don't wanna know.
Happy Hump Day. Welcome back to Morning Coffee with your host, Rick Alexander. Today, I want to talk to you a little bit about changing your mind. Because for most people, we reach a point where we look around at our lives and we realize that we might want something different. And this is a critical juncture because this is the opportunity at that point where you have that realization to do something about it. In my experience, there are two different reactions to this situation. The first is the road that most people take, to complain without doing anything about it, to draw light on what makes us unhappy without looking for a solution. In part, this happens because to actually find a solution to what's making you unhappy is actually extremely difficult. You really have to go through your life with a fine-tooth comb. It's hard to pinpoint all that could be going wrong. But I do believe it's worth pointing out the fact that once you identify a pain point within your life, the onus is then on you to change that pain point, to actually do something about it. Every year that goes by that you're unhappy, that you haven't actually made the necessary changes, at some point you got to understand that that onus is squarely on your shoulders. It's not your fault. You know, when you do all the things you think you should do and then you get around and you wonder, like, is this really the best thing for me to be doing or the best place? Like, is this my spot in this chaotic world? That's not on you. You've been taking environment cues and advice and just executing to the best of your ability. But it's once you realize you want something else, that's the moment. That's when it matters. Everything after that is on you. What most people do is convince themselves that they're wrong for wanting something other than what they already have. In many regards, we do have to be grateful for what we have, as that is really the only true path toward contentment. But the problem is when that attitude is taken out of context. It's entirely possible that you can be glad for what you have, but still look for what you want. And I would say that as a motivated person, as somebody that's interested in personal development, if you're listening to this, then probably the biggest thing for you in your life, like the balance that you really need to be able to find is how to be grateful for what you want while still striving for what else is out there, but not allowing what else is out there to make you unhappy. And that balance you could spend your entire life for, but that is the ideal. And, you know, when you hit that moment, that inflection point where it's like, okay, I think I need to do something different or I want something different than what we're currently getting, the struggle in this case doesn't necessarily come from trying to do something else, but rather in allowing ourselves to do something else. That's the resistance. In many cases, we have a terrible, difficult time admitting to both ourselves and others that perhaps we went down the wrong path. Whether we chose it, whether it was chosen for us, the resistance is always in allowing ourselves to want something new and then to come out to the world and talk about it. Because a lot of times what we get too afraid that we're going to get so damn judged by whatever this new direction is that we want. And, you know, I would offer this advice. The reality is, and I don't know the quote, so I probably butcher it, but essentially it's something along the lines of the first 30 years of your life you spend worrying about what others think. In the second 30 years of your life, you spend realizing that nobody gives a damn what you do. Like we build it up in our heads that everybody's going to care about us moving in the new direction. And so we block ourselves in. And the roadblocks that we put in our mind are just as real as any physical roadblock. If you don't allow yourself to want what you want, to go after what you want, to break that cycle. You know, I did a podcast a while ago about hell, about how hell for people is this loop that they live in over and over again. You have to be able to allow yourself to let go. Like people talk about this like compassion for themselves, self-love. Like self-love is allowing you to step fully into who you really are without worrying what other people think about it. And sometimes, you have to assess yourself very objectively to know like what kind of things you're into, what you want to do. Like you have to be careful not to react too much to emotion. But at the end of the day, most of the resistance when it comes to changing our minds and then consequently changing our lives happens when we don't allow ourselves because we're too scared of what other people are going to think or what the perception is going to be. But the reality is that people do change their minds. Sometimes it's because they went down the wrong path, and sometimes it's simply because what was working for us no longer is. In most cases, we go after the life that we want, and then it begins to feel like something we don't want or no longer want. And so my question for you today is, are you at a point in your own life where you look around and you might want something different? And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to always throw the baby out with the bathwater. Sometimes we just need a new job. Like sometimes we're just stuck and stagnant, or we need a new hobby, like learn a new sport. Research has consistently shown that high performers are always learning new things. Like they're always allowing themselves to just pursue what they're interested in. Because the reality is that when you learn one thing new, that never exists in a silo. It allows your mind to think in a different way. So don't block yourself in with your lifestyle. We get in these grooves. It's like we spend our whole life one way and we end up in these grooves. It's kind of like the metal runner sled is how I've heard it described. And so it gets really hard to get out of that path because those two little runners, they always fall back into the same groove. So you go back down the hill the exact same way. My question for you today is, why aren't you allowing yourself to pursue the life that you want? Again, it might not be the entire life. It might just be a job. It might just be a hobby. It might just be a person. You got to shoot your shot. You got to go after the people that you want, the people you want to bring in your economy. Like, be willing to step into who you are and to do that in front of the world. And really ask yourself why you're not allowing yourself to live a certain way or to pursue a certain thing that you might be interested in. Find that reason and kill it. Get rid of it. Figure it out. Like, work around it. Get a coach. Get a therapist. Do what you have to do. But stop allowing your thoughts to be the thing that keep you in something that's unhappy. Because again, at some point you got to realize that once you hit that point of critical mass and it's time to change, it's time to do something else. Every minute that you spend on that life and not doing the thing that you really want to do, your soul is going to die. And that's what it feels like. It feels like a slow decay. I think if you walked into any corporate building in America, you could walk through the cubicles and you could just see decaying souls. People that wanted something else for themselves and chose not to. And then project that out 5 years. What happens if you don't make the change that you want? What happens if you do? What happens if you do and you fail? Is it a big deal? Do people actually care? Can you start over? Will you have learned something new? These are all questions that have to be constantly asked, and we have to remind ourselves of what we really want constantly. And lastly, just don't allow yourself to be trapped in a life that you don't want. All right, I think that's enough soapbox for today. I love you guys as always. If you want to work through some of these issues, like hit me up. I do coaching calls all the time with people, help people find new directions, go through exercises, all of this stuff. I say it a lot on here, but all of this work is the thing that really helped me build a life that I really, really do love. And so I'm super eager to share it with other people. And so if that's something you're interested in, hit me up, rickalexander22@gmail.com. I love you guys. I'll talk to you later on Morning Coffee.
Your sleepy eyes when the sun pierced through, engulfed in cotton silk, satin and you, counting sheep in the afternoon. Close your eyes and I'll see you soon. Turn around, girl. Your shadow next to mine is fading away. Turn around, girl. As the sun takes the light, with the moon I'll stay. Turn around, girl. I feel that wisdom is on the way. Your Kool-Aid smile, I like your style. Kicking it by the beach, and I love for miles. In words we spoke, went up in smoke. Dreams of ever after, and things we said, in love we fled. Now brings much laughter. Turn around, girl. Your shadow next to mine is fading away. Turn around, girl. As the sun takes the light, with the moon I'll stay. Turn around, girl. I feel that wisdom is on the way. The time you see what was so sublime from the start to the finish of the drop of a dime was a special, I hope so, because in my black book you're just another hoe. So here we go down the same road, every little memory flushed down the commode. Is it you, girl? I'll never see you again. Don't you turn around, girl. Your shadow was not meant to stay. Don't you turn around, girl. The sun will rise another day. Saying, don't you turn around, girl. Your shadow was not meant to stay. Don't you turn around, girl. The sun will rise another day, baby. Don't you turn around, girl. The sun will